Hey everyone, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our biannual stakeholder update. We'll wait a few minutes for folks to join in. I'm Isis Lopez, the Engagement Manager for Development Services, and you are at our biannual stakeholder update. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday morning. Appreciate everyone joining and logging in. As you are joining in, I want to talk a little bit about other educational programs. So we have engagements that are planned throughout the year. Thanks for joining us as folks are joining in. I want to share a few of other ones. I'll put in the chat some other educational series that we have. We have a year's worth of educational series. We have one called Info Series that talks from the very beginning of very basic knowledge of what development is. And then we also have the Land Development Academy. I'll put this in the chat in a bit as folks are joining in. See, folks are logging in. Thank you for coming. All right. And I will note that this meeting will be recorded. So if you didn't get a chance to view it or if you missed some parts of it, you can check it out later. Thank you for joining us. All right. We will go ahead and get started. It seems like folks are logging in and are still attending and joining our Zoom chat. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Isis Lopez. I'm the Engagement Manager for Development Services. Part of my role is to bring to you information and updates about our department and the Development Services Department in the City of Austin. We work alongside a lot of departments, about 13, including Austin Water, Watershed Protection, Austin Fire, Austin Energy, and we have a few of those represented here. And we have a full room here from Development Services. We have team members and leaderships from all of our units and most of our units here to talk to you, and you get to hear directly from them, including our new director, Keith Mars, who was recently, not too recently, but kind of recently new, appointed as our director for Development Services. So we are excited to meet with you. We're excited to tell you all about development services, and we are excited to bring information to you about how we've been doing and an update on our progress, an update on how we've been doing on our numbers and our process improvements and where we are headed. We have, like I mentioned, we have folks here from other departments. We have folks from Austin Water, from Watershed Protection Department, from Austin Fire, Austin Energy, Transportation Public Works, and of course, Development Services Department. You'll see that we have a full room full of folks that you might know, folks that you might speak to every day, but it's an opportunity to hear directly from them and from our leadership. Thanks for joining us. I see that folks are still logging in. Like I mentioned, this meeting will be recorded, and so you'll get to look at it and see it if you got to miss anything. Next slide. Before we get started, we'll kick it off with our director, Keith Mars, with a few opening statements. I want to overview a format for today's presentation. We'll have a presentation here with you. You'll hear from the experts, and you'll hear from our leadership team, from their teams directly from them. So we do have a presentation created for you, and then we have opportunity for question and answers. You can ask questions throughout the presentation. If you think of anything, if you can put them in the Q&A function in Zoom. If you can't find it, send me a chat. I'll help you troubleshoot to help you find that. It helps to put it in the Q&A function because we can track which questions have been answered and which ones we still need to answer. So as you are thinking about them, feel free to send it to us, and then we'll ask them when we get to that portion of the presentation at the end. I'll note that while we have an hour and a half set aside for this meeting, and we have tons of information to share with you about where we are, where we're going, and what we have done to improve our services to you. We might not have time to answer all of them, but we'll try to get to as many as possible, and we might not have all the information available either. For the ones that we can't answer, we'll get back to you. We'll look it up afterward. And like I mentioned, this meeting will be recorded, and a copy of the recording will be posted on our public meetings page, where you can also find copies of other educational series like our Info series, which is a beginner series on development, and then the Land Development Academy as well. I'll share those in the chat once I once I complete my introduction and the format for today's session. Next slide, please. All right. And an overview of what we'll talk about. Like I mentioned, we'll kick it off with Keith, who's here, our new Director for Development Services. Well, newish. I'm sure you've heard about him already. And then we'll go through from updates from teams, from intake, from intake and completeness. You'll hear from the teams that do your technical and regulatory reviews. And you'll also hear from our inspection and field performance. You'll hear from all of those teams. You'll get to look at what they've been working on. You'll get to look at their load and what they have to offer and where we've been in the last year. Then, as I mentioned, we'll have opportunities for questions, and you can ask those questions in the Q&A function, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. We have a full room and attendees as well, and so we will try to get to as most questions as possible, but we may not be able to. Next slide, please. All right, and with that, I will turn it over to Keith Morris, our Director for Development Services for our directors. Welcome, Keith.
All right, thank you, Isis. Thanks everyone for joining, both in the city and our customer base. Want to hit on something that Isis mentioned, which is there's a number of departments that are on this call, and I want that to kind of ring through loud and clear with those on the call that when you interact with development, that it's development services, but it's not all development services. But it's important that we as a city, that we interact like in as a seamless way as possible, that we provide the same level of service as a city across the department. So I really appreciate our colleagues joining this call with us. Next slide, please. So I get the good fortune of giving you the highlights, but also trying to make this quick so you get into the details. So big picture. This is more of culture and kind of overarching themes than it is any specific. So one of the areas as a common theme is simplify. Those that have been involved in development for a while here know it's complex, it's complicated. Those are different things. But we have decades and decades of layering of regulations, of process. Some of those are meaningful and impactful. Some of those are just things that we do. And that's where we are really working to streamline the process of things that actually make sense and actually deliver outcomes and have an impact in the city, and what is stuff that just doesn't matter, and trying to tease and smoke that out and get that out of the process. Also, kind of the key of my point on working as a team and working as a city is that culture and that relationship also extends to our customer base, a culture of partnership. I've say this time and time again, I can't say it enough, that we are really moving in the direction of an understanding that community and development are two sides of the same coin. So where you buy groceries, where you drop off kids at the school, where you go to the office, whatever it is, your home was once development, is now a home. And we need to recognize that culture, that community and development are two sides of the same coin. So how do we facilitate that community in our great city? Next slide, please. So I'm really happy to say that we are in a place of stability. Is it where we want to be long term? No, but that's always the challenge. The two areas that I feel like we as a city have really moved in a positive direction and a very relationship direction is we understand that time matters and consistency matters. Speed through the permitting process, and what is the starting point, what's the end point, what's the rules of the game, where's the end zone, where are the yard lines, is really important, and being able to provide that level of certainty. So we have in some ways been like clockwork the past year on our timelines, and that is for residential plan review, commercial plan review, for site plans. Individual cases, may not have met that, but on average, big picture is we are turning around projects and turning around reviews faster than we ever have. We're also piloting a lot of new interesting things, being not afraid to do things differently, sometimes failing, but that is the culture that we're trying to embrace, is really focus on what are the outcomes we're trying to deliver, which is high quality development that meets code, but also is done with speed, so that again, your next door neighbors can be your next door neighbors with a new house, or that new grocery can be built. So where we're seeing some real amazing work is on, say, capital projects or affordable housing. Like, we're turning those around in 6 to 8 months. We are now also piloting an expedited site plan review process. For those that are involved in that, I know that's a very long process, but we're seeing a model where we're doing design review at 30, 60, 90, plan review. And the goal is getting that out the door and approved plans in 6 months. And we are really working on the partnership approach of holding each other accountable on quality plans and meeting those timelines, and also operating as one city culture and understanding that time and speed of process and consistency of application of rules really matters. That's the big picture of where we are. Our team is going to walk through some of the specifics of where we're working well in areas opportunity for improvement. But again, part of this is the partnership approach. This really needs to be able to work for all of those involved. Next slide, Isis. So this is a really great slide, and in my eyes, so this is site plan of all the development projects are probably the most complicated, right? Tend to be the biggest projects, but there's also multiple departments involved. And this is where I was referring to the timelines being more consistent than they ever have been. I mean, we're looking at timelines that are actually faster than before COVID. There's a lot of things that we've done, right? We have dedicated case management. We have very much how are we trying to solve this problem and solve it together? Where are we making changes that actually have an impact on either certainty or speed of process? We're really trying to consolidate applications. We're trying to not change rules every month, and have made some big changes on changing those just once a year. Again, trying to take a whole city approach so that your experience with the city is just that. It is with the city, not individual departments. Providing certainty and speed of process, and then us being in partnership of how do we deliver better and better and better process, so that 9 out of 10 times a site is just, if it's a hard site and it takes time, it's because it's a hard site and it takes time, not because of the administrative process, not because the rules don't make sense, or something is so complicated or confusing that you ask 10 people and you get 10 different answers. Those are areas of impact and improvement that I think we've made great strides on. But again, knowing that this is all a work in progress, and we're really happy to partner both internal as a team, as a city, but also with our customers that go through the process. Next slide, Isis. So I think I'm rounding out here with a couple of things to look forward to in the future. Again, I want a goal of 6-month time to permit for site plan, and some of the smaller site plans, like the infill projects, of getting the 90 days. We also have to think of permitting is an asset to the city. It is the enabler that unlocks the potential of this city, both for economic development and our own capital projects, right? Those have to work hand in hand. The expansion of the airport, the Project Connect, the delivery of critical city infrastructure that serves our community, those things have to operate together. We're also focusing on the core services. What matters, what has impact. The nice to-dos are great, but that has to be on top of and not a distraction from the core service that we're delivering. Along with that, lessons learned from COVID, along with this is private, public, nonprofit sector, is, well, how do we control our expenses? How do we control staffing? And expanded use of third party, so that we have core city functions. And then if we see a spike in development, that we're able to use third party. Or maybe there are instances where there are procedural things that need to be done, and that's better for a third party to do it, so city staff can focus on high impact, high risk situations, where a third party may be able to come in and do that work for us. And again, you've heard this time and time and time again, but a culture of service and partnership. Partnership means that, development, there's nothing more real than real estate. I heard someone mention that recently at another meeting I was at, and it really stuck with me, of what is one time on plans and on pieces of paper they become homes, they become schools, they become all of these things that are part of our of our city. And then how do we treat that with understanding that process needs to facilitate those outcomes? The regulations are what the regulations are, and that's a policy matter, but our administration of them needs to be predictable and repeatable, and ideally just make sense. That way, if we have disagreements, it's just a hard site, or there's just there's a lot of complexities, and those are where we're able to sink our teeth into and work together on finding good solutions. So again, culture of partnership. I think that might be wrapping me up. Is that right, ECs?
That's correct. Thanks,
Okay,
Keith. I
guys,
appreciate
thank
you.
you so much for being on this call, on this webinar. I'm still getting used to what the call is, but you're in good hands with ECs and team, and looking forward to seeing this presentation through. Thank you, ECs.
Of course. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate the welcome and the information and your leadership as we move toward. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Like I said, you'll hear from all of our teams directly from the leaders. The first team that we have up, we have Janet, our Chief Admin Officer, leading it, and then we'll go over through land use assistance. Next slide, please. So Janet, if you want to talk to us about your team, you're up next.
Good morning, everyone. As EC said, my name is Janet Height. I am over our customer experience unit, which includes residential intake, commercial intake, and the building and trade contractor services units. I'm going to talk to you today about kind of application volume. It's pretty consistent across the groups. There's slight dips and slight raises in different areas, but I'll show you some charts that shows you that volume, and also showing you kind of our current performance where we are at currently. Right now, we're pretty much around a 1 business day turnaround for intake, and most services for the building and trade contractor service units. Next slide. So we do have a couple recent improvements. One is coming October 1. We finished completely redoing our residential application for new homes. This has been a big undertaking. We worked across all different departments that are involved in that process to really simplify that for our customers, make it easier for customers to understand, make it easier for staff to process. So that will be launching October 1, and we hope to see some improvements in some processes with that. We also think that will help some of the errors that come across during intake. What is next? We currently have rolled out AI for our residential plan review as a pre-check for single-family homes. It's going really well. However, we're looking at expanding and leveraging that technology and bringing it to a completeness check for residential and commercial applications. Again, we're just in the starting phases of that, but we're excited about what this technology can do for customers and making sure that they are submitting complete applications, and again, make intake even faster for our customers. Next slide. So starting with our building and trade contractor services group, I know there's a lot going on this chart. The top green line is our number of staffing in that unit. The orange line is the volume of tickets that come in. As you can see, we have seen a kind of a slight decline over these last almost 3 years. And then the turnaround time is the very bottom metric. So you can see that how much staffing we have has a direct impact on how quickly we can turn our tickets around. So you can see right now we're about at a 1 business day for this unit. Next slide. Commercial intake. Their volume has maintained really steady since July of 2022. Staffing is also pretty steady, and they are now at a 1 business day turnaround as well. Next slide. Residential, we have seen a slight uptick in volume since 2022. Staffing is pretty tight. Volume is kind of spiking a little bit right now. So we're currently at 1 business day, but we're anticipating this going up to about 2 business days here in April, which is usually one of our peak months. But we are keeping a very close eye on this unit. Next slide. And just to quickly go over kind of common causes for any type of delays that we are seeing at intake is, again, incomplete application, missing signatures, missing documents. That all causes delay for intake staff to reach back out, reach out to customers, have them submit information. All of that, causes delays for our customers. And also, believe it or not, some customers forget to upload their plans in our web form. So again, the more you can do to make sure that your submissions are complete, the quicker your process will be. Next slide. And that's it for me.
Thanks so much, Janet.
Thank you,
All
Janet.
right. Thank you, Victor. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is Victor Azine. I am a Development Services Division Manager with the Development Services team. And I'll be talking about the group, the Land Use Assistance Group. This group was formed at the beginning of this year, but it's a combination of our land use consultation teams, land use intake, notification, case management, some of our over-the-counter permits. So those services that our customers are very familiar with. We're working really hard to combine them into one team with the goal of providing customer focused and consistent support throughout the land use review process. So as our customers are interacting with us at the very beginning through the intake completeness check phases, and then through case management and through notification and then through permit issuance, our goal is to provide consistent customer service with similar contacts in the same team. And as I mentioned, kind of the idea of the services that we're providing are review of over-the-counter permits or the quicker turnaround permits, case management support for site plans, and consultations for pre-submittal meetings. Next slide, please. So speaking through our volume and performance, for site plan exemptions and site plan corrections, we've seen about 8,600 applications in the last fiscal year. This was down from the prior year, but our average cycle time or review cycle time is about 7.7 business days, which is about where we'd like to be. For land use intake, we received 4,742 tickets in the last fiscal year, which again was a little bit lower than the year previously, and we're completing those in less than one business day. And then for housing case management, we helped or provided case management for 26 affordable housing cases in the last fiscal year, which is steady over our previous years. Next slide, please. A couple other things that we've improved. We have improved or created a new change of use site plan exemption process. And the intent of this is to really assist the change of use requests and the small business requests through a lower cost and hopefully quicker review process so they can get on to building permitting. And then we're also working to cross-train our intake staff. And so going back to that consistency, our intake functions were fragmented between exemptions, corrections, and site plan, and we're working to unify and cross-train there. And we're really seeing and our hope for impact will be improved flexibility and consistency for intake functions and approved and consistent support across all of our functions. And I believe that's my last slide. I'll hand it back over to Isis.
Yeah. Thanks, Victor, and thanks, Janet, for overviewing your intake and land use teams. Up next, if you can put the next slide, please. We have our teams from our technical and regulatory review, and we'll kick it off with Joyce Deeb. We have, as you see, a few teams represented here, and so we'll run through those teams, and you'll get to hear from them directly as well. I'll remind, before I kick it off to you, Joy Deep, I'll remind everyone, if you have questions throughout, you use the Q&A function, and there are a few that are already in the queue. But with that, I'll turn it over to you, Joy Deep.
Thanks, Cece. Hi, everyone. I'm Joydeep Goswami. I'm Acting Assistant Director over the Land Development Review Group, which includes Land Use Review, Public Projects, Expedited Review, LU, Land Use Assistance, and our Trees team. So with that said, I'll provide a couple of snapshots of our site plan metrics to begin with. Next slide, please. So as you can see here, again, we'll kind of go through them quickly, but I will start by saying that this information is available publicly too. So, you know, if you can't keep up with all the numbers right now, don't worry, you can still see them. One quick note, the days that you'll see in these slides are all calendar days, whereas our building criteria manual that shows our review timelines, those are in business days. So, but yeah, in general, this kind of provides a check of volume of applications received and permits issued. Next slide. This is a snapshot of our completeness check. You know, that's a critical component of the overall process. It gets the applications into review. So we're looking constantly to improve our timelines to get things through completeness check so that the meat of the review, the formal review, can begin. Next slide, please. This shows you our overall review times. You know, we're still constantly working on improvements to get these numbers lower, but there are some trends that we're seeing that are good. But important thing to also take away from this is that we are constantly monitoring these metrics to look for where we need to do better. Next slide. This is our last metrics slide, I think, and it shows the overall. I think we have one more actually. The total formal reviews and the breakdown between the amount of time it takes, or the reviews are in with staff versus with the applicants. You know, we fully understand that these kind of go hand in hand, and this process works only when we as the review teams and the applicants as the design team work together. So we're constantly checking on these kind of metrics as well. Next slide. And this provides an overall end-to-end process and the average review cycles per permit. As Director Mars mentioned earlier, you know, we're moving towards trying to get our overall review times down to 6 months for site plans. But this is where we're at right now. Next slide. So these are, again, I'm going to touch on some of the things that Director Mars spoke of previously about overall development process improvements. The first two that you see are kind of hand in hand. The annual rulemaking and annual application updates will be once a year. This does provide, I think it benefits both applicants and our review teams. You can only review to what you know is the current rules. And so if we have constantly changing rules and applications, that complicates the process for both the design teams that submit applications and for our review teams. So I think an annual update provides some clarity and predictability for all of us. And the last thing, again, that Director Mars touched on was the third-party contracts. You know, this is really to scale up and scale down depending on volume of applications that come in. And so we're still in the process of procuring all the things that we need to be able to set the contracts up for this. But we're looking forward to having this at our as something that we can augment staff with. That's all I got for today.
Thanks, JD. Up next, we have Tara for Expedited Site Plan Pilot. Next slide.
Hey, good morning. I'm Tara Villeray, and I manage the Public Projects, General Permit, and Expedited Site Plan Pilot Division. So I wanted to give a quick overview of the Expedited Site Plan Pilot, what it is, what we're doing, and how to get started. This pilot is a new approach to site plan review that shifts us from the traditional back-end review process to more of a collaborative front-loaded model. So instead of waiting until 100% design to identify issues, we engage earlier at key design milestones like 30, 60, and 90%. So the goal is simple. We want to reduce rework at formal review, shorten overall permitting timelines, and improve predictability for project delivery. There are two key changes. First, earlier, more structured engagement with reviewers throughout the design. Second, a single coordinated review approach where feedback is aligned and tracked across disciplines rather than siloed comments late in the process. So this isn't about adding steps. It's about moving effort earlier to reduce delays later. So this means fewer surprises at formal submittal, better alignment across reviewers, faster path to permit, and ultimately it reduces the risk to the scope, schedule, and budget. I'll put this in the chat, but to participate, you can start by initiating your project through the expedited site plan webpage. Right there, you'll be able to select a meeting date and set up a time for a project orientation to get started. And you'll be assigned a single point of contact. To a cradle to grave is what we call it, case manager, that will guide you the rest of the way. And that's it for me. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Sarah. And I went ahead and put the link in the chat as well. If y'all want to check it out, it's available. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Up next, if we can go to the next slide, we have Jim.
Thank you, Isis. Good morning, everyone. We appreciate y'all coming out today for this. My name is Jim Dimkowski, and I'm the division manager for the Community Tree Preservation Division. My group handles tree review for your site plans and your subdivisions. Joy Deep had done a pretty good job, I'll say, at showing you all our current numbers and totals. So I'll just touch on that our on-time performance and processing has been pretty stable between last fiscal year and this fiscal year on those totals. We're maintaining that despite some staffing gaps, which we're working on. Site plan review, currently we're operating without a supervisor. So I just want to make sure that I put it out there for y'all. If you're having any difficulties and wish to make communication with staff members, feel free to contact the city arborist or myself to keep things moving along for y'all, because we're doing our best that we can. Currently, our processing times are around 14 days for site plan reviews and around 16 days for subdivision reviews. Next slide, please. As far as education and outreach, we're continuing to still try to improve what you all are able to bring into us application-wise. So we still offer our Get Tree Smart program. That's done now through the Land Development Academy that was created last year, along with some of the other review disciplines and divisions. So we have that in a more of a organized schedule. We don't do that once a month anymore, but I highly recommend that if you have design staff or yourselves that have not taken that. Not only does that assist in trying to explain some of the criteria manual and code, it also will assist in letting you all know what might need to be submitted consistently to keep the process moving for your permitting. And we will continue to focus on improving our understanding of tree review with y'all and some more supporting y'all for better submissions and smoother reviews. And I think all I have, please next slide, is just our current totals between last fiscal year and 2025 and our average response time and performance. So we appreciate you all coming out today, and I think that does it for me.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. All right, up next we have Steve. Next slide, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Leach. I am the relatively new Chief Plans Examiner here at the City of Austin. So just to go through some of the process improvements that we're working on in the various plan review divisions. Some of these have been touched on a little bit. There's been a citywide effort to expand availability in the building. So we've enhanced our Friday coverage so that we've got more staff in the building on Friday. And then our plan review groups are going to be participating, and we're redesigning our our IVR, our call tree. And the plan review groups are participating in kind of a redesign of the question, sort of the buckets of questions, with the goal of getting folks in touch with subject matter experts in fewer steps. And then I'll just also mention, Janet mentioned this earlier, and this is really something that you're seeing at intake, but it impacts plan review enormously, and that is that we are continuing with these AI pre-check tools. When I say that impacts plan review, obviously, right, we are, our most of our processes are kind of structured like a manufacturing process, right? So plan review receives product, uh, your applications, from the intake group, right? And the more refined and the better that product is, the easier the plan review process and the quicker the plan review process is going to be. So that's the idea there. Next slide, please. So, one of the city manager's top 25 goals was to reduce review timelines, and we are jumping into that in plan review across the board. We had been planning to launch these in October at the start of the new fiscal year, but that timeline a couple of weeks ago, that timeline was significantly pushed up, and our plan now is to launch these revised review timelines at the beginning of June. There's going to be, I'll go ahead and just say it's going to be a little bit rocky because some of the IT enhancements that we need to support these are not going to be done yet. So there's going to be a little bit of manual workaround when these new review times launch. And then just to give an overview, in residential, the 15-day review is going away. That's going to be replaced with a 7-day review. And the review time will include the permit coordination time. Next slide, please. For commercial, we're expanding the express permit availability. These are scopes of work that do not require plan review, and you just go straight to our BTCS center and obtain your permit. So there are things that currently we look at as on our quick turnaround schedule, which is a 24-hour review, and we've pulled out some of those things and said, you know what, we don't even need to look at this. Let's just give these folks a permit, get an inspector out there, and get the work done. And then next slide, I'm going to give you guys a quick, just sort of fiscal year to date snapshot of each of the 3 plan review divisions, building plan review divisions. That's residential here. And again, these numbers are fiscal year to date. So projects are getting approved on average in 1.5 cycles. Our time on those cycles is averaging 7.5 days. Customers' time in each cycle is averaging about 24 days. And then you see the application count to date is about 4,000. This is pretty consistent with the past few years. It may be up or down a little bit, but it's fairly consistent. And then, we expect a little bit of a peak in the spring and summer. So we'll see what those numbers look like at the end of this year. Next slide, please. Commercial. Again, here looks like projects are getting approved in average of 2 cycles, 1.9. Our staff is looking at projects for about 8 days. Customers are spending about the same amount of time, about a little over 3 weeks at each cycle. And then you see the application count is about 2,500 submitted to commercial review so far. And then the last slide is the expedited, and these metrics look a little bit different, and that just has to do with the next slide, please. It just has to do with the way the expedited business process is a little bit different, and some of the metrics are not applicable in a kind of one-for-one way. So expedited plan review, as you guys may or may not know, has a residential component and a commercial component. So here are sort of applications received for the fiscal year so far in each of those divisions. And then average review time, and this is average between both of them, is about 7 days. That's the time that our reviewers are spending with projects. Excuse me. And then you see the count of folders fiscal year to date. We're a little bit past half the fiscal year, and looks like we're going to be up there and around the 2021, 2022 numbers, uh, which were pretty busy years. And I think that's my last slide.
Thanks, Steve. And thank you, Joydeep, also as well. We can go to the next slide. As part of our technical review here, we've had folks here from Transportation and Public Works. And the first group is our Land Development Engineering from License Agreement. So Beth.
Yeah, next slide. Good morning, I'm Beth Robinson. I'm a supervising engineer with Transportation and Public Works, and today I'll be talking about license agreements. Year to date, we've completed 16 license agreements with an on-time completion rate of 89%. Next slide. But today I'd like to focus on our process improvements and what's ahead. As some of you know, the license agreement process is currently being evaluated by our Office of Performance Management, and they're taking a detailed look at our existing process. They're identifying pain points and working towards opportunities to streamline and improve efficiency. Next slide. So this slide shows the anticipated schedule for completing the analysis. The project shows to close on June, but they are aiming to finalize in May to help prioritize this initiative. In the meantime, we've already begun implementing some of the low-hanging fruit and addressing more immediate needs. Next slide. So we've made some immediate changes shown here. One key improvement is that we will now finalize license agreements after site plan approval, and we'll incorporate only what has been approved in our license agreement, only what's been approved in the site plan in our license agreement document. We're also transitioning from a two-step review process, which we call the front end and the back end, to a single point of contact who will manage each file from the submittal through recording. And we're also in the process of training several staff, and we'll start distributing license agreements to 4 or 5 different staff members beginning in May. We're also no longer administratively closing projects, and we've removed all applicant resubmittal deadlines. We're also currently updating our checklist and templates and cross-training staff to improve flexibility and coverage. And yeah, so be on the lookout for more changes to come as the Office of Performance completes their analysis and provides recommendations. And that's the end of my slides.
Thanks, Beth. If we can go to the next slide, then we have Amber, also from Transportation and Public Works.
Good morning. Amber Hutchins, Transportation Development Services Division of Transportation and Public Works. I provided some of the metrics that we have here principally to show that TPW does track our metrics separately. Our executive team is invested in engaging in the development review process with DSD. We're interested in the continual improvement that DSD is challenging us to achieve in our response time as well as our communication. The metrics that I have here for you don't include Beth's team in land development engineering, but they will for the next stakeholder meeting. We'll have a unified submittal. The statistics that I'm showing on this slide are reflective of the trends that Joydeep summarized earlier. While the caseload has somewhat slowed, TPW's goal over the last couple of years of creating a unified comment report, I think have also contributed to our improved metrics. Next slide. Again, these are metrics that you kind of to show you how we've moved throughout the years and the quarters and how our performance has improved. Just to touch on a couple of things that are new or relatively new. The street impact fee is now a few years old. I think everyone here has been engaging with that process and is familiar with it. We're still working on integrating our SIF process into our site plan review process as seamlessly as possible. There is a NAC interactive form that you can submit. And while it is not a requirement of your completeness check process, I think early submittal is the key to helping us incorporate that information into your review as quickly as we possibly can. So it's something I would encourage everyone on this call to do. Similarly, we, over the last couple of years, have started to automate the process for TI determination worksheets. So now you go to our NAC portal to submit those worksheets as well, as opposed to directly through email. We just recently added an interactive spreadsheet. So you actually fill out the worksheet itself within the portal and submit it directly. That might be a little bit different for some people. And we've also added a couple of videos online so that you can take a look at those to get your comfort with them. I can put them in the chat if anyone's interested. That's about all I had. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Amber. If we can go to the next slide, we also have information from the Austin Fire Review Performance Team with Yvonne.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yvonne Espinoza. I'm the managing engineer over engineering and plan review for Austin Fire. I wanted to share some stats with you, mainly just volume and percent on time. For so far this fiscal year, we've reviewed close to 5,700 reviews. That includes building, residential, wildland, urban interface reviews, all the land use reviews. So these are totals for all the reviews that come to us from ADS intake. And then for fiscal year 2025, we reviewed a little over 12,000, and our percent on time was 94.1%, or right at 94% on time. So we're pretty proud of those percentages. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about our staffing and how that helps support our on-time percentage. Right now we have 4 residential, commercial. This is for just building review, but we have 4 residential and commercial dedicated reviewers. And we are about to add a 5th. So we will be hiring a 5th reviewer that's dedicated to residential and commercial reviews. And then we have 4 dedicated wildland urban interface or WUI reviewers. And we have 2 dedicated expedited reviewers who do all of the above residential, commercial, and WUI reviews. We have 1 person at the airport dedicated to that expansion. And then we have 4 dedicated hazardous materials reviewers. Some of the highlights of things we have been working on in the last year and that will continue for the rest of this year is particularly for wildland urban interface, we've had a great deal of need to do stakeholder engagement up to the code adoption that occurred last year. We did a great deal of presentation and going out to various groups and explaining those code changes. We've also done improvements to our website, including providing some information on the ADS website with links back to our WUI website. And we continue to respond to any needs that people have for us to come out and speak and provide guidelines and other information so that there is a good understanding of the requirements for WUI. We also started an initiative this year to update our fire protection criteria manual, which was severely out of date. That started in October of 2025 with the reorganization. We are going tomorrow to the technical advisory review panel to submit another update for references, and then we'll be going again throughout the rest of the year to update the remaining sections of the fire criteria manual. And I think this is a common theme. So we are also focusing on cross-training staff so that we have flexibility to move reviewers around. And this is anticipation of shorter timelines. Next slide, please. So for land use reviews, we have a similar type structure for staffing. We have 3 dedicated site plan reviewers, 1 public use projects or PREPA reviewer who will also be supporting site plan expedited. We have daily staff that is supporting site plans exemptions and corrections. And then we have a dedicated temporary use permit reviewer. Some things that we're working on or have been participating in for land use review is we have participated in all of the site plan improvement initiatives and implemented the changes that ADS has asked us to. We are going to go later this year with site plan section updates for the fire criteria manual. And again, we're continuing to do staff cross-training to be able to support the shorter timelines. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Yvonne. Up next, we have Austin Water, who's also in the room with us with Colleen. Colleen.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Colleen Kirk, and I'm the Utility Development Services Division Manager for Austin Water. So our team reviews development applications within our utility service area, which is identified as that red boundary in the map. That service area includes both jurisdiction within the City of Austin's full purpose, limited purpose ETJ, as well as unincorporated portions of the county. On average, we're reviewing about 450 plans per per year. So that is including all development plans, site plans, and subdivision plans, as well as CIPs and TAP plans for direct connections to our system. We're currently averaging about 96% on-time reviews for those, as well as 92% of those projects are approved within 3 review cycles or less. We've also been actively participating with DSD's initiatives for the expedited site plan pilot, as well as public projects reviews, prioritizing our teams of reviewers focused on those projects and bringing those up in the queue for review. Also, in coordination with private development, we have a pretty significant achievement this year. We have about 10 projects underway where we are partnering with private development to construct oversized infrastructure. This is key opportunities for us to build an additional system capacity right now while the development's under construction. So we're in step with their timing and increasing those facility size so that we can serve beyond just that development, but also be planning for that growth in the region. So right now we have about $50 million of investment being in partnership with those private developments. Next slide. So a few key improvements this year. Over the past year, we made some enhancements to our online GIS web viewer. So in addition to being able to download your as-built and record drawings from that application, you can also now see our long-range plan for both water and wastewater systems. So you can see what our insight is on that big picture planning on where we see the system expanding. We've also added some CIP layers so you can get an idea of the forecast we have on the 10-year horizon where we're going to be investing for some system improvements and upgrades. On the supporting infill and development with home initiatives, we've streamlined some applications so that now you can do a single TAP plan application that would cover multiple units on a single lot. On the infrastructure side, our Austin Water Renewal Program has replaced over 4 miles of water mains and over 8 miles of wastewater mains, focused on those aging and undersized mains and some of the older neighborhoods. They're seeing some densification. We're also offering pre-development consultations for prospective infill developments, encouraging applicants to just come talk to us early so we can look at where you're proposing to develop, how dense your development, what those utility needs are, and if there's any system capacity concerns that we can highlight for you in your feasibility stage. And another key innovation this year was the creation of an on-site water reuse operator training manual. This was developed in partnership with the Water Reuse Association. The topics in the manual include acceptable water sources and end uses, roles and responsibilities, monitoring procedures, record keeping and reporting, and maintenance and troubleshooting of equipment. This manual can be downloaded from our website, linked here below. And in the future, we are working on creating a training course that will help train operators for these types of systems, so that'll be coming soon. And that's the last update I have for Austin Water. Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. And that that concludes the technical and regulatory review portion of our presentation. Like you saw, it takes a village and a group of teams to work with you on this shared responsibility that we have. I put some of the links that we talked about in the chat, and I'll include the link that Colleen mentioned on the on-site water reuse system. I'll put that in the chat. And I also want to remind folks that this meeting is being recorded, and we'll share a copy of the presentation as well. Up next, we have our inspection and field performance teams that we'll be talking about. We have a few teams that are represented in this group. And with that, we'll start with Aaron. Aaron?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Aaron Finney. I'm the residential inspection supervisor. I'm standing in for Division Manager Scott Cochran at the moment. And if you want to start on the next slide. Right here, we have the volume and performance of inspections. So you can see from October 2025 to March 2026, we ranged anywhere from 11,000 to 14,000 inspections a month. We did peak in March at 14,865. Overall, seeing just a steady increase in inspection demand. And as for the performance trend, we've been maintaining on time with between 84 and 93% on time. It usually dips down when we have some sort of training that's pulling inspections out of field or holiday time. Re-inspections a little bit lower, but it's at an 86 to 95% range. And our failed inspection rate is currently sitting around 22 to 25, which is a pretty stable and average range. Next slide, please. And here's a more specific into the monthly performance. You can see October 25, we had 13,000 inspections, 25% failed, and 84% on time. And then let's see, November through January, we ran 11,000 to 12,000 inspections. Again, this is kind of monthly average, 22% failed, 90 to 94% on time. Usually October, we see a lot of changes when we have some code shifting. And then in February to March of this year, we're already up to from 12 to 14,000 inspections. And again, maintaining that stable 22 to 24% failed with now 90 to 95% on time performance. And next slide. And here's just some of the top field deficiencies we see. These are some just the most common items that we run across on a daily basis. Missing or improper use of GFCI, AFCI protection. It's pretty common. Incorrect breaker labeling, very common as well. Drain line slope issues, failed or missing WE or gas test is not there when we're on site. Missing approved plans. We do view them online, but unfortunately, we really do need that physical set on site, especially during the frame stage, to go through those construction documents properly. Smoke alarms is always a key one we see a lot of in a lot of remodels typically. Egress window violations, usually that's just an oversight on when doing the construction. It's usually a pretty easy change. And then, of course, one of the hot items we always have are stair and handrails. That is a really common one. Measurement of stairs can get a little funky, but just make sure there's lots of information on our website and online that can help you see how we're measuring them to make sure everyone knows what the measurements are and what the actual planes of measurement are on those. And I think that's all I have.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron, for letting us know and taking a look at our residential building inspections. Up next, we have Marty to talk about commercial inspections. Marty?
Good afternoon. I'm Marty Sterrett, Division Manager, Commercial Building Inspections. I'm going to look at the performance of my different teams, starting out with commercial electrical. As you can see, there was a drop in inspections from 24 to 25, but some of that was the commercial electrical inspections was reassigning the residential ETJ over to residential to help with the staff shortage. And the performance measure, we in 25 we was at 90% because we were fully staffed. Currently, right now we're at 85% with the work starting to increase. So that might also start increasing too. The current fail rate for the commercial electrical is 14.8%. Overall, across all the commercial teams, the number one deficiency is work not ready or not complete. Next slide, please. Commercial building has been steady over the last 2.5 years, and their on-time percentages stays in the high 90s, and their current fail rate is 7.3%. Next slide, please. Commercial mechanical inspections have dipped considerably from 24 to 25 and even this year. They also have maintained high 90 percentages, and their fail rate is at 13.2%. Next slide, please. Commercial plumbing. Commercial plumbing saw a big increase last year in inspections. A lot of that was due to the residential ETJ inspections that we also do in commercial. The current they're down one inspector, and because of the increased volume, their percentage rate, especially in 24, 25, was way low, and it's considered to stay that way presently. Their current fail rate is 10.4%. Next slide, please. Some things that we're working on, as Director Mars stated in his opening statement, simplifying processes. We're looking at different ways to possibly simplify inspections. One of the things we're looking at virtual inspections, possibly using some of that for some items. We're also refining the demolition process. We've already added a partial process to the pre-con, and then we're working on to make sure that the plumbing permit is installed out of the initial plan review. So we're steadily working on that to get all the little bugs worked out. We're continuously working on our standard operating procedures for consistency. And then, as Director Mars also stated in his opening remarks, third-party inspections. As we see our work increase, we might have to take advantage of some of those third-party inspections. The change-out program, it's been kind of broken. Where our plan this year is to get it squared away and back like it needs to be. And then TCO improvements. We have a lot of TCOs that are expired, that get expired or go on forever. We want to see if we can figure a way to help the customer get to more of a final stage instead of a TCO stage. So that's what we're working on, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Marty. We can go to the next slide. Part of our inspections, we also have our environmental inspections with Brian Egan. Brian?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Isis. I guess it's 12:03, so I can say good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, today. My name is Brian Egan, and I'm the Division Manager for the Environmental Inspections and Enforcement Division here with Development Services. Within our division, I'll give you a quick overview. We conduct and perform residential tree and environmental inspections, commercial tree and environmental inspections, and general permit inspections. We have an environmental enforcement team that works both residential and commercial sites. We have an underground storage tank team, which basically holds the hazardous materials. Majority of that for gasoline and diesel at service stations. And then we have the boat dock registration program and the boat dock inspections team. Next slide. So I'll give you some metrics here for fiscal year 2025. We averaged about 1,207 routine inspections monthly on the residential side, as I mentioned, and commercial team averaged about 1,530 routine inspections per month. On top of that, On the called inspections, residential side, we averaged about 651 called inspections per month, with 91% of those being performed on time. And on the commercial team, called inspections, we average about 27 per month with 100% of those on time. And then, of course, our pre-construction meetings, those pre-con meetings that are called, those are at 100% being completed within 3 business days. Next slide, please. So for the environmental enforcement, these are complaints that come in through the Austin 311 app or telephone. They can be reported either way. We're averaging about 117 complaints per month, with 99% of those being addressed within 24 hours. Those complaints that come in are various, from impacts to a tree, to illegal tree removal, to discharge of sediment. Maybe a site is developing without erosion controls. Those complaints come in, and our enforcement team goes out and investigates those sites. And those are for both active sites that are permitted and for unpermitted sites as well. Focus here, we're looking for a timely response to the non-compliance. We maintain the environmental standards and the public trust. Our goal is to educate and obtain compliance with the city ordinance. Next slide, please. So our division also conducts extensive community engagement and education. For outreach and training, we conduct lunch and learns, and those lunch and learns are open to both city staff, all departments citywide, and to the public. We conduct training classes on various topics such as enforcement inspections, residential, commercial inspections, and boat dock inspections. We basically give a very detailed overview of what those inspections entail. We also offer meetings and presentations to neighborhood associations and HOAs. We are going out in the evenings, working with their schedules when the property owners and homeowners are home at the end of their day off work, so that we can meet with them, help them with issues or concerns that they may be having, pardon me, in their community. We also provide digital and printed educational materials for stakeholders. We're also now offering citywide, as I mentioned, environmental training, and this is on a monthly basis. It's available to all city staff. We're focusing on areas of regulatory compliance, erosion control, tree protection, environmental safety, and this has been extremely helpful in assisting other departments that are working on some of these reviews. Helps them to understand why they're conducting those reviews and what we're actually looking for in the field as an inspector or as an enforcement officer. Next slide, please. And I will turn this over to Site and Sub. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. My name is John Cruz. I'm the division manager over site and subdivision inspection. We do all the civil construction inspection for site plans and subdivision plans that have been approved and released to the city of Boston and work in the right of way. I'll start off with our key operational improvements. We have with our inspection capacity monitoring, we notify key personnel whenever inspection hours are utilized and utilize key milestones. So what we've done is we've taken the project once they have the initial inspection deposit in the very end. And before we would have a lot of questions of, we're not really sure at what point we're 50%, 75%. And then we got to a timeline where we hit 100% of the hours used, and the developer, stakeholders, contractors were kind of in the dark. They didn't know what that percentage was until the very end. And so what we did is we took that concern and we used that to develop an automated email that was sent out to the owners, developers, contractors, and those that were associated with that project and let them know in real time what that percentage is at the certain milestones. We started with 50%, 75%, 90%, and then 100%. And what that did is that helped opened up our communication, and it brought us more accountability when it came to the inspection hours that were being used. Um, it opened up our resource planning because our inspectors were able to see what their percentage was, and they were able to have those conversations with the field staff and with the development team for those projects. Our overage fee notification process, what we did along with that is we notified the developers prior to the very end. Again, with the 75%, 90%, those notifications were done so that we can have a timely issuance of the final acceptance with those fees that had been paid. Before it was a lot of back and forth notification and discussions on trying to find the best possible way to get the fees paid and to get the final acceptance letter issued in order to move forward with certificate of occupancies and final acceptance of the infrastructure. Next slide, please. So what we've let me see. I think those are my two. I think that's all I had. So I'll stop here.
Yeah, and thanks
No,
for
it's
watershed protection, Katina. Yeah.
it's okay, John. You can totally do my slides for me too. I would totally appreciate it. So hi everybody, I'm Katina Bohr with Watershed Protection in the Floodplain and Modeling Office. And I am actually not talking to you about anything that we've done in the past. I'm only talking about something that is coming down the bend. And it's mostly because we thought that you guys should be aware of it. So we're working on a process in Amanda that's, AB plus C portal, but for us on the inside, to allow us to issue administrative holds on building permits for cases where we need something prior to CO. So for you guys, that's like when we do the reviews at site plan subdivision or at a residential residential permit plan review. That is the time where we would normally put a cover note saying, hey, prior to CO, we're going to need you to turn in an elevation certificate, a drainage easement, various different things for commercial. Sometimes that's even letter of map revision, that type of stuff. And the way it's worked heretofore, sorry, I'll get to that in a minute. Our timeline for implementing this into Amanda is in hopefully about 8 weeks. The cost to you guys is no additional fees. This is something we're doing for us effectively. Next slide, please. So the current process requires manual coordination between the building inspections group and the floodplain reviewers. So after we would tell you, hey, put this cover note on your plan set saying that prior to CO, you need to have an elevation certificate, as an example. We would then have to go to the building inspections team and say, hey, when the building permit is issued, we need you to put an admin hold on this particular property. And then pretty much everybody would forget about it until somebody tried to schedule a final inspection, and then it would be like, oh my God, there's a hold. What's this hold for? They would ask the building inspector. Building inspector would go, I don't know. Let me go ask floodplain. We would say, we need an elevation certificate. Inspector would go back to the applicant and say, we need an elevation certificate. They would turn in the elevation certificate to the inspector. The inspector would give it to us. We'd review it, and hopefully everything's okay. We would say, good, you can release CO from our side. Now we're going to do this more automated so that it's in Amanda, so that it is automatically issued at the time when building permit is issued. And then it will also allow you to upload all of the information that you need in through the AB plus C portal so that we get to review it before you ever actually schedule your final inspection. So this is a much more streamlined and reliable process. It ensures that we get the information we need when we need it, and that we're not having to use that building inspector as a go-between. So next slide. The process updates that you guys should be aware of is that floodplain review will be added to commercial plan reviews. We currently are not on commercial plan reviews because we usually assume that we have looked at the site plan recently and that anything that was big enough that required us to look at, such as a remodel, would be caught by DAC and or the commercial plan review team, and then they would send it to us. So now we're going to be automatically added to it for any property that is in the floodplain. We will not be added for properties that are not in the floodplain. This review is going to primarily only be for making sure that everything that we put in at site plan cascades to the plan review appropriately. So if you need a elevation certificate prior to CO, we're going to make sure that it shows up on your plan review that that elevation prior to CO is needed. We will also be added as a building inspections group isn't quite the right term, but as a building inspection on the BPs for the ones that actually do have that hold. So you'll be able to actually see it. The portal enhancements are that it will actually show which floodplain reviewer issued that administrative hold so that you can contact them with questions, and it allows you to upload that information directly through the portal. Once you upload it, it puts it on our task list and Amanda so that we can look at it to make sure that everything is good. If there's some issue with it, we can say, hey, it's not good, and it will send an email explaining what's not good, what needs to be updated in it. And so, like I said, emails will be sent when the holds or inspections are issued. Ongoing updates via email will be sent once documents are submitted, and it will also clear up some communication on outstanding items. So like if, for example, you needed a drainage easement and an elevation certificate, but let's say you only sent the drainage easement, we would be able to say, hey, we're still missing this elevation certificate, and it would send an email to you saying, hey, you still need to send this in prior to scheduling your final inspection. And next slide, but I think that's it. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Katina. And thanks to everyone who has provided tons of information. You got to hear directly from our team members, and they actually have been working pretty hard throughout the presentation. If you look at the Q&A function, you are able to answer and see the questions that have been answered. I want to make sure that we get through the questions, and so if you have a question, I'll take a moment to type it out to make sure that we get those answered. So if you want to take a look, you can see the ones that have answered. If you can go to the next slide as well. The other thing I was going to share that I'll share in the chat as we wait for folks to type in their questions if they have any, is I'll go ahead and share. You can let us know how we did. I'll share it in the link, and you can scan it through the QR code. Let us know how we did. If you have any feedback for us, you can fill out that survey. You can give us feedback on this meeting. And then there's a few ways that you can connect with us. If you haven't already, if you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, we provide tons of updates on what's coming up and where we are and any news. And we also include news from our partner departments as well that are development related. And then you can find us online on development, atx.com as well. I don't see any questions in the chat, and we're doing chat for right now just to make sure that we get those questions answered. But appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate all the teams joining in and telling us a little bit about their teams. You got to hear from everyone. We hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.